far as the sinkhole getting closer to Highway 70 where it becomes a hazard? What's your boundary line there?
You mean, like a
What's your
distance?
safe area?
Well, we wouldn't want to locate the cores not too close to the roadway, but close enough to the roadway where they're giving us information that's relevant to the roadway. So we'd probably be looking at somewhere about 200 feet off the right-of-way or the edge of the road.
I think the question is, at what point in time would the sinkhole get close enough to the roadway it would suggest potential closure of the roadway to implement the alternative plan?
Okay, well, I don't know that we've come up with any thresholds or triggers that we would look at. I mean, we would be looking at movement data and subsidence data and make a determination from that information if there was a need to close the roadway and reroute traffic. So, but I don't necessarily have a trigger point or threshold that we've talked about.
But as a resident, we're looking at trigger points. We're trying to, we need someone to tell us, what's that trigger point? Where is it?
I understand.
And when you do your surveys to see if there's subsidence or any issues with the highway, how do you do that? Do you do it with transit, or do you do it through satellites?
Satellite, GPS surveying. And so we're coming back and hitting those points every month, comparing it to the previous month and to the first survey. And that data is on our website, or on our DOT website, so as we do those comparisons, we'll put those spreadsheets up there, and we have some of our other data on our website as well. With any type of failure, we would be monitoring the information from some of these monitoring stations. And, I think the threshold would be set based on how fast you would be seeing changes. So to say that, you get an inch of subsidence, we'd close the roadway, I don't know if we've come up with a determination on how we would do that, but with any failure mechanism of a structure or a roadway, a lot of it has to do with, is it some type of very slow, gradual change that you're seeing, or is it a pretty quick change as far as settlement or movement that you're seeing? So I think a lot of that would have to depend on the timing of how things would start changing as to whether we would decide that the road needs to be closed or the bridge needs to be closed.
Sir, can I?
Yes, sir.
Clarify something? You said once a month you do the test? I didn't get.
The surveys are once a month. We're daily doing visuals. We're riding through the road daily. Once a month, we're coming back and resurveying those fixed points on the roadway.
So you don't have to wait a whole month before you determine that it's starting to fail. You can determine on a daily basis whether you're starting to get.
Well, if we're seeing visually there's some distress or some failure, yeah, we would probably, if we start seeing something visually on a daily basis, then we're going to close that gap on how quick we're doing those surveys. Okay. Now, the advantage of doing instrumentation is that that instrumentation is taking those measurements all the time. Maybe once every 10 seconds, 30 seconds, it'll be measuring and shooting the information to a cell tower, to a computer at DOTD, and we'd be monitoring.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, sir.
Are you doing your subsidence study for the length of the entire dome where there's cavern activity, or just around Bayou Corn?
The core sites that we want to put in place, which are the monitors, the fixed monitors that are going to measure subsidence, one would be near the Bayou Corn Bridge, one would be near the bridge, I think it's Grand Bayou on 70, and then we would have one off of the roadway nearest the sinkhole site. So at the closest point to the roadway to the sinkhole, we'd have a site between the roadway and the sinkhole, but closer to the roadway.
I'd like to make a suggestion that you also check areas, closer to 69, because there was an area near that, in that direction, that did subside, and Highway 70 had to be rebuilt or built up.
Okay. All right, we'll look at that. I think I had a hand up somewhere, sir.
Have y'all checked the panels on that, Bayou Corn Bridge?
Have we checked what, sir?
That panels?
Yes, sir, we check and we survey we look at that bridge every week. We survey the bents, we're taking some survey shots on the bents and comparing them to our previous week's surveys. And we also have some tilt meters mounted on those bents that we're manually reading every week. So, yes, we're looking at the different individual components of the bridge to see if they're moving relative to each other.
Yes, I listened to a big truck go across with a load on it, you can hear the panels rocking on it, and that's what I used to do for a living. They ain't supposed to be doing that.
Okay. All right, well, our bridge inspectors go to school, they're trained, they're certified, our bridge engineers are the same. They're looking at this every week, and we're not getting any indication that we have some structural problems. Yes, sir.
Yeah, looking at the geography of the area around there, what type of alternative route could you put for Highway 70? Would it have to be something that was elevated through the swamp? There's not that much solid ground around there. We need where close to where the 70 would be.
Well, the feasibility study is going to come up with assessments of what can and can't be done, where it could and could not be put, where's the best place to put it. So the feasibility study is the first step in trying to decide what needs to be built and where it needs to be built. So, we start off with a white piece of paper, nothing on it, and come in. Again, we're going to engage the public, we're going to have some public meetings, trying to get feedback from the public about the region, not only the needs, but what they know about the geography of the area. And from that information, they'll come up with multiple alternatives, and make, have some recommended alternatives. Some of them will have higher priority than others, but that whole feasibility study, that's the purpose of it, to decide what you need to build, where you need to build it, and, what's the best route and method to realign 70 if it needs to be realigned. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just realized when I was mentioning the highways, it's more toward 996, is what I meant to say,
Okay,
not 69.
okay. Okay, I got any other hands up? Okay, thank y'all so much for your time.
Thank you.
At this time, we'll hear from DNR. Who we have? Mr. Hydell with DNR.